January 3rd, 2026. Aero 1, Pan 58, a.m. Caracas sleeps. The night is humid and still. In the presidential palace of Miraflores, the guards are changing shifts. There is no intelligence warning, no diplomatic cable, just silence. But in the invisible spectrum of radio waves, a weapon is already firing. At exactly 2 hour, the NSA's Tailored Access Operations Unit executes Zero Day. A dormant virus in the Venezuelan national power grid activates. It doesn't shut down the lights. That would alert the population. Instead, it loops the security camera feeds and freezes the air defense radars. The eyes of the country are blinded. Simultaneously, a flight of EA-18G Growlers from the USS Gerald R. Ford lights up the electromagnetic spectrum. They flood the frequencies used by the Russian-made S-300 and Buck M2 batteries. The radar operators on the ground see nothing but white noise. They are deaf, dumb, and blind. Under this electronic blanket, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment crosses the coastline. The Night Stalkers. They are flying modified stealth Black Hawks, invisible to thermal sensors. Inside are the operators of Delta Force. Their heart rates are under 60 beats per minute. They are the scalpel. 02:14 a.m. The birds are over the target. Controlled explosions breach the roof access doors. Flashbangs detonate. The resistance is neutralized with surgical precision. There is no firefight, only a takeover. Before the president can reach his secure phone, he is zip-tied and hooded. While Delta grabs the high-value target, the sledgehammer falls. The 75th Ranger Regiment conducts a massive airborne jump over the Paraguana refinery complex. 800 Rangers descend into the industrial labyrinth. Their mission is not to destroy, but to secure. This is the third largest refinery in the world. The sun rises. The world wakes up to a fait accompli. The president of Venezuela is in U.S. custody. The oil fields are under American flag. The shock is absolute. NATO allies were not informed. The UN Security Council is paralyzed. The global order has been overturned in 4 hours. To understand why this happened, we must go back 100 years. In 1922, the Barroso well blew out, revealing the largest oil reserves on Earth. The U.S. built Venezuela. Standard Oil, Exxon, Mobil, they were the architects of the modern state. We didn't just buy the oil, we believed we owned it. The trauma of 2007 defines this war. When Hugo Chavez nationalized the industry and kicked out Exxon, it wasn't just business, it was a humiliation. He took American infrastructure and gave it to Russia and China. For 2 decades, Washington watched its own assets fund its enemies. The 2026 operation was simply the repossession. In the first month, the plan seemed like genius. Venezuelan heavy crude flooded the Gulf Coast refineries. Gas prices in Ohio dropped to $1.50. Transportation costs vanished. The U.S. economy surged. President Trump declared energy dominance. Approval ratings hit 70%, but the bill was coming. China realized it couldn't win a naval war in the Caribbean, so it fought on Wall Street. Beijing initiated the nuclear option. They dumped $800 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds. The bond market collapsed. Yields spiked. Suddenly, a 30-year mortgage in America cost 15% interest. The housing market froze instantly. Then came the chokehold. China controls 90% of gallium, germanium, and processed rare earths. They banned all exports to the U.S. These aren't just rocks. They are the vitamins of modern industry. Without gallium, you can't make radar chips. Without neodymium, you can't make EV motors. The impact was catastrophic. Apple announced it could not produce the iPhone 17. Tesla halted production at Giga, Texas. Defense contractors Raytheon and Lockheed warned they couldn't build missiles. The U.S. had infinite oil, but no microchips. The Nasdaq lost 40% of its value in 3 weeks. The sugar high was over. Europe was collateral damage. Caught between U.S. sanctions and Chinese supply chains, German industry simply stopped. BASF, Volkswagen, Siemens, titans of industry, shut their doors. Mass unemployment swept the continent. NATO unity fractured as European leaders openly blamed Washington for their ruin. Militarily, the focus shifted to Taiwan. The PLA Navy surrounded the island. It wasn't an invasion, it was a quarantine. Nothing in, nothing out. The Silicon Shield, Taiwan's semiconductor industry, was held hostage. The global supply of advanced AI chips fell to zero. The world was de-digitizing. Back in Caracas, the occupation settled into a strange routine. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers worked 24/7 to fix the grid. For the first time in a decade, water pumped and lights stayed on. The locals hated the invasion, but loved the electricity. It was a golden cage. The intelligence war was brutal and short. With the Maduro regime gone, Iranian and Russian intelligence networks had no cover. CIA teams rolled them up in days. The forward operating base of the anti-American alliance was dismantled. The Western Hemisphere was secure, but the world was burning. By mid-2026, the world stood on the precipice. Global GDP had contracted by 15%. Famine loomed in import-dependent nations. The standoff over Taiwan threatened nuclear war. It seemed the Venezuela operation would be the first chapter of World War III. But humanity is resilient. Desperation is the mother of invention. In labs across America, the strategic mineral crisis forced a Manhattan Project for materials science. MIT announced the breakthrough: iron nitride supermagnets. Cheap, abundant, and stronger than Chinese rare earths, the monopoly was broken. With the mineral leverage gone and its own economy suffering from the bond crash, China agreed to talk. The Summit of Geneva. A grand bargain. The U.S. guaranteed the One China policy. China ended the Taiwan quarantine. The bond market stabilized. The guns were lowered. And in the eye of the storm, Venezuela was transformed. The U.S., needing a stable partner, didn't just extract. It invested. The Caribbean Marshall Plan. Hundreds of billions in oil revenue were directed into infrastructure, education, and health. The crime rate plummeted. The diaspora returned. By 2030, Venezuela was the Norway of the tropics. The operation that began as a heist ended as a resurrection. The world had stepped to the edge of the abyss and learned to build a bridge instead. The era of resource wars ended not with conquest, but with a new equilibrium. The Venezuela operation of 2026 will be remembered forever, not as the start of the end, but as the painful, violent birth of a new, more resilient world. The king was captured, the board was flipped, but in the end, the game was saved.
Now the question is, what do you think? Are these just predictions, or is the future being decided in advance? Share your opinion in the comments. If you want more deep analysis and hidden realities like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care, bye-bye.